Hello everyone, in this episode I am going to talk about statements, syntax and comments in JavaScript. So let's get going. So basically JavaScript statements, they are a list of instructions to be executed by a computer, and in programming language we call these instructions statements. And a JavaScript program is just a list of programming statements, and in HTML and JavaScript the programs are executed by your web browser, and the statements are composed of values, operators, expressions, keywords and comments. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna make an H1 heading of statements, syntax and comments in JavaScript. Then I'm gonna make a paragraph with the ID of example. I'm gonna open the site and then I'm gonna open the JavaScript file. Here we go. I'm gonna type in document.get element by ID. The ID is example. I'm gonna change the inner HTML to be a string. A string is a series of characters. For example, welcome to JavaScript, and a semicolon at the end. Alright, so the semicolon essentially tells that this instruction is over. And a string is a series of characters. Now I'm gonna copy this line. I'm gonna make example 2 and example 3. So there's actually three types of values in JavaScript. The first one is called a string, and we can use comments in JavaScript. So I'm gonna type a single line comment by saying this is a string dash a series of characters. Then I'm gonna make a couple of spaces and I'm gonna type another single line comment. This is a number value, a number. So let's get the document.get element by ID example 2 and take the inner HTML and set it to be 25. There we go, we got it on the page. And then we can say this is a boolean value, true or false. So a boolean value means that it's either true or false. I'm gonna show you in the future how they can be useful, but for now just know that they exist. So they can be either true or false. And now this is actually not a boolean value. This is a string of text. So this is not a boolean value. But if I was to only type in true or false, it would be a boolean value. So the JavaScript statements are executed one by one in the same order as they are written, as you can see over here and over here on the web page. And we use the semicolons to separate the JavaScript statements from each other. Alright, so you can use double forward slashes to type in a single line comment. What if you want to type in a multi-line comment? Then you're gonna use a forward slash asterisk, and this is a multi-line comment and asterisk and forward slash. So these are comments for you or the other developers, and these won't be shown anywhere in the code. the computer essentially ignores these. If I was to comment out these lines of code, the text on our web page is going to disappear, as you can see, but I'm going to reverse that. Alright. I'm gonna replace this comment with something like, we have 3 types of values in JavaScript: numbers, strings, a piece of text, and Boolean values, true or false. This is all you have to know for now. I'm gonna discuss about these in the future. There's also JavaScript white spaces, so essentially JavaScript ignores multiple spaces, so this will still work, or we can use no spaces at all. But this makes the code a little bit harder to read, so I suggest using spaces on these. This makes the code easier to read. If your JavaScript line is very long, the best practice is to break it after an operator, like this for example. So this is now broken down over here. We can add an indentation over here with tab. So yeah, now this code is even more readable if my website was like this. But I can keep it like this and I don't have to use multiple lines for this one line of code. But I can do that if I want to. Then there's JavaScript code blocks, and they are statements that are grouped together with curly brackets. For example, functions, function 1, and then over here we can type some code. But I'm not gonna go to functions yet. We are gonna go to them in a later episode. Then, for example, let's take this number here and I'm gonna add some decimals like 25.00. You can see that these 2 decimals are not going to show up on the web page. We have different methods for fixing this. I'm gonna go over those as well in the future. If I was to set this at 25.13 or 24, then that's going to show up on the web page, but 00 is not. But we can fix it with different JavaScript code. Then we have strings. There's 3 ways to type strings. You can use double quotes. You can also use single quotes, or you can use backticks like this. Backticks are very useful because inside backticks you can insert variables with a placeholder, and we are gonna go over those as well in the future. I'm gonna do a few examples of variables in this one. So let's make our first variable. We can use either var to make a variable. We can use var, let, and const. So usually we only use let and const nowadays because var is an old method, but it still works. You can say var x. This is called declaring a variable. So now we have the variable x, but the variable x is currently undefined. If we set the variable x to be 25, now if I want to, for example, show the variable x, let's set it to be 400. And if I change this, or let's take this entire line, there we go. And here we go. And I'm gonna change this line to be x. Now you can see that it shows the variable x, which is set to be 400, and it shows the x as 400 on the web page. We also have a shortcut for this. We can say var x equals 400. That also works. So this is called declaring a variable, and this is called assigning a value to a variable when we say x equals 400, or we can say var x equals 400. This is the shortcut most used. Alright, then we have let. As I told you previously, we don't really use var anymore, and I'm gonna discuss the reasons as to why in the future, but we can use let in a similar way. So let x equals 25, and now the x will be equal to 25 on the web page. Alright? And then we can use also const, and that's gonna work as well. So we will be working with let and const mostly, and the difference between let and const is that we cannot change the value of a const variable. Const means constant. So if I was to make the x variable equal to itself plus 1, that's not going to work, because constant variables can't be changed. However, if this was a let, then it's gonna show me 26, because we add 1 to 25. So it's gonna be 26 right over here. Then we have the JavaScript operators called arithmetic operators. So for example, we can set the x equal to 5 times 3. That's gonna be 15. We can set it to be 5 plus 3. That's gonna be 8, as shown on the web page. We can set it to be 5 divided by 3. That's gonna be 1666667. Or we can also use a minus to calculate the outcome, which is going to be 2. So JS operators. There's also multiple others, but for example, there's plus, minus, the asterisk, and the forward slash. This is for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. I'm gonna talk about the JS operators in the future a lot more. Then we have the assignment operator, that is the equal sign. So here we are assigning the variable x to equal the number 25. Here we are redeclaring the variable x to be 5 minus 3, which is equal to 2. And then here we show the variable x at the place of id example2, and it's going to be shown right over here on the web page. Alright, there's a lot of information for one episode, but it's pretty simple and straightforward. I'm gonna continue on in the next episode, and yeah, see you guys later. Hope you learned something new in this one, and have a wonderful day and happy learning.